Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Joe.
And this is Crime Divers.
Hello everybody, welcome to today's episode.
Hello.
Today is a lot-a-sode.
It is a lot-a-sode.
So, where in the world are we?
We are in America.
Okay, and what is the name of your case?
It's called Mean Girls.
Oh, has it got Lindsay Lohan in it?
No.
No.
But maybe that's what they're like.
Do we wear pink on Wednesdays? Have you not seen Mean Girls?
I did a long time ago.
I was just going to say, it was just when I said do we wear pink on Wednesdays and you just looked at me as if to say,
a very long
what
time
the fuck?
ago. I mean, to be honest, if I watched the film now, I'd probably be like watching it all over again.
Oh,
But
right.
I think I did watch it. But I know the film. Like, I know what
I watched it millions of times.
Yeah.
And on Wednesdays we wear pink.
on Wednesdays.
Oh, it's Wednesday today and I have no pink on.
Me neither.
In fairness, I didn't know it was going to what this case was called.
This is very, very true. This is very true.
Okay, so shall we dive in?
Let's dive in. So before, obviously, I do start like that. This is, I think, quite a well-known case.
All right.
So it's just, but it's, you know me. I hadn't heard of it. But I believe it is quite a known one. But here's my take on it. So
That's fine.
we'll see how we get on. So Skylar Neese was born on the 10th of February 1996. She was the only child of Mary and David Neese. Skylar, she was an extremely loved child. The way her parents would talk about her, it was clear to see that she was totally the light of their lives. Like, totally doted on her. She was a very easy child growing up. She loved being outside. She loved animals. She'd actually often bring home strays as well, so I'm pretty sure her mum wasn't happy with that.
I'd be like, no thank you, take it back.
Imagine that, like, come home and you're like, oh, I brought a cat home today, or I'm like, no, like, wait.
I'd be like, no, put it on eBay, sell it.
No, you just say, no, dear, just put it
I have a friend who would take in any animal, so I'd be like, right, take it round to her house.
So she loved animals and, like I say, just loved being outside. So when Skylar was in the second grade, so for anybody that isn't American doesn't know, that's you're about 7 years old in the second grade.
I didn't know that.
Because it's different for us here in the UK.
Yeah.
You would be in what we call primary 2.
Right. I always have to look it up whenever I read about what grade people are, even in the English ones as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're like year 1, year 2, years.
Yeah.
They're a bit, I don't know if they're quite the same.
So the different terminologies for language, but basically this was when she was 7 years old. So.
Right.
So, she was starting to make, like, new friends and stuff at this point. So one in particular was a girl called Sheila Eddy. And they became, very, very close. She at this point, so when I say she was meeting other kids, it wasn't exclusively to her school. Because the girl, Sheila Eddy, she was actually at another school.
Alright.
But they met at the local community centre. So she must have just been getting out more and stuff like that and doing more things. And that's where she met her. But they became really, really good friends. They always had a lot of fun when they hung out. Skylar's parents thought that Sheila was like a really nice girl. She did have some issues at home though, as she was also an only child, but her parents had got divorced when she was 4 years old. And her dad was disabled, so he couldn't work. So it was pretty stressful for Sheila. Like, she was also having a hard time at home. It wasn't.
Right.
I suppose she wasn't maybe like a carefree kid that, she obviously must have had to help around the house, that sort of thing. So, Mary and David, Skylar's mum and dad, they wanted to be really welcoming to Sheila. So she was always over for play dates, dinners, sleepovers, that sort of thing. And I mean, Sheila was so used to coming over that she would just, she just walked right in her house. She wouldn't even knock,
part of the family.
Yeah, basically, she became sort of part of the family. So Skylar and her mum and dad, they lived in an apartment in a place called Star City, West Virginia. And when the girls went to high school, Sheila actually ended up transferring to the same school as Skylar at this point. So they didn't go to the same primary school. Yeah. But when it came to high school, Sheila transferred into the same school as Skylar. And that was called University High School. And they were so excited to be at school together, because before this, they only saw each other out of school and at weekends and holidays and stuff. So they were dead excited to be together, actually at school as well. Skylar, at school, she did really well at school, and the teachers really liked her. She she had ambitions to be a criminal lawyer. She was very responsible, and she actually had a job as well while she was at high school. She worked at a place called, I don't know if you've heard of it, Wendy's.
Yeah, I've heard of Wendy's.
I've had a Wendy's burger.
It's meant to be really good.
Oh, it is.
I haven't had one.
Yeah, I went to. I've only been once to Wendy's when I've been in America, but it was a really nice. I just remember it being a really nice burger because it was somewhere I'd always want to try. It was really nice. So yes, I like Wendy's.
Unless they do gluten free, I won't be having one.
Well, that I can't answer, but yeah, no, it was a good burger. So yeah, so she had a job at Wendy's, and there was 2 of our other friends who also worked there, and she just really enjoyed it. She really enjoyed working there. Skylar, she was also described as a confident and popular girl. So she got really well at school. And Sheila herself, she was beginning to be a lot happier in herself. Her home life had improved, as both her parents had remarried. She really liked her stepdad. So she was
happy.
Yeah, happier basically. And Skylar and Sheila, they became even closer. I think because they spent more and more time together. They loved being at the same school, like I said. So they were just getting on great as well. But eventually, they added a 3rd girl into the mix. Now, I always think 3's not good, is it?
They always say 3's a crowd.
I know, which, going by what's going to happen this one, I think 3 is definitely a crowd.
Okay.
So there was another girl that added into the mix during their freshman year. They met a girl called Rachel Schuff. Her parents were also divorced as well.
Right.
She actually had an older half-brother, but she didn't really see him. So like Skylar and Sheila, she basically was raised as an only child.
Yeah.
So before high school, she'd attended a private Catholic school, and people that knew her said she seemed to like the attention. She loved being in school plays. She was normally the star. So she obviously came to the high school as well. So the 3 of them became really close. They spent all their free time together, and if they weren't physically together, they would basically be texting and phoning each other all the time. So they were just 3 peas in a pod, maybe I suppose you could describe that as. They were very into Twitter as well. So people would say they acted more like sisters than friends, as they were just so close. Right. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you here is that they were all.
Yeah, I'm gathering that you're building this up that they were because it's going to make what's the crime so much more worse.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, what I'm trying to emphasize is that they were the best of friends. They were. Really,
I can kind of see where this is going.
Yeah, they really were the best of friends, and to a lot of people, it looked like nothing could ever break their friendship.
Yeah.
And going on that, you would think that nothing could ever break their friendship because they sound like they're just.
Well, obviously something did, otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Yes, unfortunately. So eventually, cracks started to appear in the friendship, and I think there was some jealousy going on. And as I was just saying, I think that's why a group of 3 friends doesn't always work out because, sometimes, two gets closer, one gets left out maybe, sometimes it just doesn't seem to, always work out. So the 2 girls that got closer was actually Rachel and Sheila.
Right, okay.
They seemed to be a lot closer. And Skylar, she found herself being left out of stuff, not getting asked to do things. So, which is a shame, really, considering that her and Sheila were total friends growing up, and then they bring this Rachel into the mix, and it's almost like she just divides them, really. So on the 4th of July in 2012, Skylar was home alone because Rachel and Sheila had made plans and they didn't invite her. So Skylar, she was really down and upset about it. And our mum felt sorry for her because she must have told her mum about it. Mm-hmm. And her mum suggested that she read a book because apparently she loves books. Okay. Especially all the classic ones. So her mum must have suggested, why don't you read a book? That'll maybe make you feel happier.
Okay.
But that didn't help. So like I said before, obviously the girls like Twitter. So Skylar put out a tweet that said, quote, "Sick of being at fucking home. Thanks, friends," in inverted commas. Love hanging out with you all.
Okay.
So clearly Skylar was upset.
That's what kids do though, isn't it? They put up posts like that, and it's like, oh,
I know.
I'm so glad I didn't grow up in
social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know. So yeah, so she sent out that tweet So she was clearly upset that Rachel and Sheila had made plans with her, which I guess I can understand that. I mean,
I'd be well pissed off.
If they're meant to be like so close friends, like I've just described to you, and then
what's wrong with inviting another one?
Well, yeah, it's like why aren't you inviting her? Like even sometimes maybe they say no or I'm busy or whatever, so they can't always be together. But you'd at least invite them, wouldn't you?
Of course.
So the girls' friendship, with each other hadn't gone unnoticed with their other friends, so like Sheila and Rachel's friendship, hadn't gone unnoticed.
Yeah.
The other friends, they would voice their opinions on the others being bad influences, but each of the girls would always defend each other. And Sheila and Skylar, they got to a point where they would constantly fall out. And then Rachel became, Skylar, there's constant fall out. So Sheila and Rachel, they became really close, and they were that close that they started to dress like each other.
I think Miss Rachel isn't a very good influence.
I know, that's what I think, because to be fair, before when Sheila and Skylar, it was absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But when this Rachel came into the mix, the dynamics of the friendship changed.
Yeah.
And so I don't, So they started to dress like each other, and basically, it was to upset Skylar. So they did it on purpose to upset her, and then they'd constantly leave her out of stuff.
That's not nice.
Exactly. I mean, there was rumours that they'd hooked up, but they both had boyfriends, so I don't think that was ever proved. So there was a rumour that Sheila and Rachel had
hooked up,
but there was never any. They had boyfriends, so there was never any proof that
They
was.
still could have done it, I suppose. Still could have hooked
up.
up.
I was going to say, it doesn't mean that they didn't. Yeah, exactly. So on the 5th of July, Skylar had been working on a shift at Wendy's. So after she finished the shift, she must be working late at night. She went home. She hung out with her mum and dad for a little bit. She said, "I love you" to the both of them, and then she headed up to her room for the night.
Why am I getting the feeling that this night isn't going to end well?
Well,
when you get the bit that says "I love you" and went up to bed, it's like no, this.
Yeah. But I say only she wasn't planning on going to bed.
Mm.
She had been invited to sneak out with Sheila and Rachel. Apparently, they had done this on many occasions before.
Right, so it wasn't like out of the ordinary.
It wasn't out of the ordinary. They had snuck out
right.
on other occasions to hang out and stuff. So she had been invited to hang out that night. Skylar had initially been hesitant as, she hadn't been getting on great with the girls at this point. As we just said, they'd been following her quite a lot and they'd been leaving her out. But after a series of texts and phone calls, she changed her mind. So they must have convinced her that, let's go and hang out or whatever.
Yeah.
So about 12:30... So after midnight, Skylar, she left the apartment and she left via her bedroom window. There is actually CCTV footage that you actually see her, so obviously she's climbing down, but you see her walking across the road and getting into a car.
Right.
So that's, see that on the CCTV footage. So what Skylar didn't know was that her supposed best friends had been planning to murder her for months.
For months?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so clearly that this was the reason that they had been so keen for Skylar to sneak out with them that night. Because like I say, they had obviously been persuasive to get her out.
I have to say, I've heard of this story.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realise that, because I don't know the details, but I knew that she was murdered, but I didn't realise that it had been planned for months. Well, I probably did realise, I just can't remember.
Well, that's more like...
Well, I don't think I've actually listened to a podcast on this, so I think I've maybe just sort of read, brief details of it. So, as I said, I sort of just recognised the name and knew what happened. Yeah. But to be planning it for months.
Yeah, I know. I just don't understand.
How?
I mean, obviously, I'll tell you more about it, but we'll discuss more about it as well, but I can't get it in my head.
Yeah, well, obviously, you're going to tell us the details, but at the moment, what I'm thinking is, what would lead two teenagers to want to kill their friend? I mean, if you don't like her anymore, you've had a fallout, then you don't have to be friends anymore. Why do you actually want to kill her?
I mean, we do. There is a reason.
Alright,
okay. I mean, again, it's still no reason why that
there's never a reason.
Well, there's never a reason, obviously, but yeah, it's crazy to be honest.
Carry on.
So yeah, so that basically had been why they'd been so keen for Skylar to come out that night.
Right.
They had brought with them kitchen knives, paper towels, bleach, cleaning cloths, clean clothes, and a shovel.
Oh my god.
So, clearly...
I don't think I want to hear this.
They had put the thought in it. They had the knives on them, so on themselves.
Oh, right, okay.
On them. And they'd had the rest of the stuff in the boot of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was forgetting, because I was thinking, how are they in a car? They're like, well, they're only 16-year-old, but I forget in America you can get a driving licence. Is it 15? I think you can get a driving licence.
I don't know.
Which I think is crazy, by the way. I don't think you should be that young. I think 17.
I don't know. I just know that when you see the films and TV shows, they all like drive to school, and it's like, how can you even afford a car at that age? Never mind drive it.
So I had to remind myself that they're in America, so at 16 years old they can have a driving licence. So that's obviously okay. So the three girls then headed northwest from Star City towards Blackville via the US Route 19. They arrived at a spot just across the Pennsylvania state border. They'd been here before, as they sometimes would sneak out to smoke weed.
Right.
So that, as I said before, they obviously did this quite a lot. They went to this spot. So I'm sure at this point Skylar's not thinking anything of it.
Yeah,
it's just a normal thing that they've done. So all three of the girls got out of the car.
And the thing is, sorry to interrupt, but the thing is as well, she's probably thinking that, oh, maybe everyone's going to be all right. Yeah. Like, we're going to go and smoke weed. We'll maybe, like, air out our differences. Yeah. We'll maybe get everyone sorted and we can all be best pals again.
Exactly. That's it. She's probably thinking that because she's been obviously upset that the two girls have left her out for, it's obviously, not been on just one occasion. That's been, they've been doing things without her. So. And
they've, like, obviously been keen for her to come. So she's maybe took that in a way as, like, oh, they must really want to make things up because they're dead keen.
Yeah, the thing is, you're not going to think that they're going to...
Well, of course not.
You're not going to think for 1 second that that's going to happen. So, of course, you're thinking that.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking of... Whereas if it had just been a normal night, she maybe wouldn't have thought anything of it. But because this has been happening, then she probably is thinking maybe good things or positive, exactly, everyone's going to be fine. And
exactly.
I'm just thinking, I don't want to hear what's coming next.
Well, you're about to hear what happens next.
Okay.
So all three of the girls got out of the car. Sheila and Rachel said that they had forgotten to bring a lighter. Skylar volunteered to go back to the car to get her lighter. Once Skylar turned her back, Sheila and Rachel out loud counted to 3, which was their arranged signal, and then they began to stab Skylar. So basically they went 1, 2, 3, and then they started to stab her. Skylar she tried to run, but she was only able to run a few feet before Rachel tackled her to the ground and continued to stab her.
My God.
Skylar, she did manage to wrestle the knife from Rachel and cut Rachel's knee, when she was trying to defend herself. But, Sheila continued to stab Skylar until there was a complete silence. And according to Rachel, quote, Skylar's neck stopped making gurgling sounds.
Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah, we'll just take a pause there for a minute. Just to digest that, like, her two supposed best friends.
Oh, that's awful.
Counted to 3 and just attacked her.
Yeah, they waited until she turned round.
To turn her back.
So, actually stabbed her in the back.
Oh, yeah. They stabbed her, literally stabbed her in the back.
Oh, that's awful.
So, of course, Skylar was dead.
She died, yeah.
She was dead. It was actually revealed in a later post-mortem that she had more than 50 stab wounds. So, they didn't just stab her.
That's brutal.
That is brutal.
That's, to me, from other cases and stuff, to me that's anger.
Mm-hmm.
That's...
Well, I always say that, if you stab or however you kill someone, if it's just like one gunshot or say one stab wound, but for somebody to actually repeatedly do that,
that's anger.
That is...
And like, I'm totally...
Have you lost your train of thought there? Do you want me to just carry on?
Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. And I remember telling you, and I honestly couldn't tell you what episode it was, but there was a case that I did, and it, like a sort of psychologist or whatever, had explained that when women kill, they just tend to kill and get the job done. They don't go any overkill.
Yeah.
Women don't... It's not very often that women do that, so obviously that is overkill. They do like 50
stab wounds.
Over 50 stab wounds, so that is that's quite unusual as well.
But you've got to say they must have been angry.
But what were they angry at?
Well, exactly. I mean, I will give you the reason, but it's still
not enough.
Well, the reason is ridiculous.
Right,
so
I've got a feeling it's going to have something to do with a boy or something, or
no,
or a girl,
no,
maybe.
No.
Oh, right, okay. Well,
So basically Skylar was dead. So Sheila and Rachel attempted to bury Skylar's body.
Oh, God.
They dragged her to the side of the road, but the road ran along like a creek, and the soil was too hard and rocky to dig a hole. So instead they covered Skylar's body with rocks, fallen branches and dirt.
And they just left her like that. Well, obviously she was going to be found.
Mm-hmm. They then returned to the car to clean themselves and the murder scene.
Ugh.
And then they left. They disposed of their blood-soaked clothes, and then they went back to their own houses.
That's really sad.
So yeah, that is
just awful. Absolutely awful.
Like, that in itself is just...
That's horrendous.
That's despicable. That's just... I have no words for it. I mean, this is why, even though I feel like it's a well-known case, I was like, when I started to like research it, I was just like, I need to do this. Like, it's just, this is horrendous.
It is.
So the next morning, obviously, Skylar's parents woke up to find that their daughter was missing from a room.
Mm-hmm.
They contacted the police, and at first the police just thought that she was a runaway.
As they do.
So an Amber Alert was not immediately put out in connection with her disappearance. So for anyone who doesn't know what an Amber Alert is, it stands for a Child Abduction Emergency Alert, and it's a message that's distributed out by a child abduction alert system to ask the public for help in finding abducted children. It was originated in America in 1996, and I've actually witnessed an alert a few times when I've been to Florida.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so sometimes you get sort of like message boards on roads and stuff.
Yeah.
It tells you like...
Tells you about, like, caution, slow down,
that sort of thing,
and,
yeah.
like,
So
high winds.
So I've seen them on there before. To be honest, I think there's more... I don't think they're all just Amber Alerts. I think there might be, like, other types of alerts that mean different things. But I have seen up on the board, like, something alert and, whatever. And I'm sure on, like, the digital radios as well. If you got the radio on.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get the writing that comes across it. I'm sure it comes across
That's
there.
quite good, that.
Yeah, so I have actually witnessed it. Because I think, there's been ones... I think there was one for, like, maybe, like, a car or something to look out for a certain car. Because, in fact, on the screen, I'm sure that whatever alert it was, because it must have been Amber, and there was, like, a description of maybe, like, a car or something like that to look out for and stuff. So
that's quite handy, that.
Makes people... I mean, personally, I still don't know how I would recognise anything around me or see things, but, I suppose it's a quick way of basically getting the word out to people that are travelling around, to look out for.
To keep their eye out, yeah.
So it's actually quite a good thing. But I think maybe there is different ones for different situations.
Different things, yeah.
So I just thought... So basically, they didn't initially put one out because she thought she just ran away. So as police investigated... They reviewed the CCTV from the apartment building that had said that caught her on, getting in the car. And that's when they saw Skylar get into the car. And that later they identified the car as belonging to Sheila.
Right, yeah.
So it was Sheila's car. So of course they went to interview her.
Mm-hmm.
And Sheila did admit to picking up Skylar, but she said that she had dropped her off an hour later.
Right,
so
but that wasn't on CCTV though.
No, because apparently what they said was that they had dropped her off at the end of the street because they didn't want to alert anybody of the noise of the car, basically. So they dropped her off further down the street. So that was their explanation for that.
Not a very good explanation when you weren't bothered about when you were picking her up.
Well, exactly. Because it was like 12:30 midnight.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. It was still late on.
Yeah. So supposedly that's why you didn't see it on them. So Sheila had also told Skylar's mum that the three of them had been driving around town getting high before her and Rachel had dropped Skylar, like she said, at the end of the road so she could sneak back in. And then, that's... But then, what I put in brackets, so if that had been the case, surely Skylar would have been caught on CCTV again, because alright, you might not have seen the car,
but you would have seen her.
Because you've seen her walking towards the car when she's going out, I would have thought she would have taken the same route to come back in.
Yeah.
So surely you would have seen her walking back in, which obviously she didn't.
Yeah, obviously not.
So, the police, they began interviewing all Skylar's friends at school. And the two girls, they just carried on as normal at this point. They were very active on Twitter. They were posting various things, mostly quite normal things. But one tweet that was posted by Sheila said, "No one on this earth can handle me and Rachel. If you think you can, you're wrong."
Oh my God.
I'm like, okay.
And were they not posting stuff like looking for their friend.
Not really, no. I mean, there is a tweet later about Skylar that I'll tell you about, which I think's really bad.
Okay. Well, this whole case is bad.
Yeah, but at this point they're just posting about normal on board and on watching TV, that sort of stuff. So that was just a sort of.
They were just carrying on as normal.
Yeah, basically. So there wasn't really any major progress in the case at first, but a few months later, out of the blue, Rachel suffered a nervous breakdown.
Alright.
So on the 3rd of January 2013, so bear in mind it was in July that this happened, so nothing had come about at this point. So on the 3rd of January 2013, Rachel actually confessed to her lawyer and police that she'd stabbed Skylar to death alongside Sheila. The motivation that Rachel gave for the murder was, quote, they didn't like her and didn't want to be friends with her anymore, end quote. That was the reason.
So why didn't they just not be friends with her anymore?
Exactly. That's what I just...
We've all been there. We've all, had friends come and go.
Yeah.
That's just the way life is.
And I mean, from what I was understanding before is that they were kind of leaving her out and not hanging around with her anyway, so why didn't they just carry on doing that? Well, yeah, I mean, yes, it's a shame and it's still a bit harsh, but it's better than killing her.
Well, of course.
Exactly, they could have just said, look, Skylar, we don't want to be friends with you anymore, and
And yeah, it would have hurt her and she would have been upset, but she would have got over it.
And
she was 16.
She would have been alive.
Yeah, she would have got over it, made new friends.
Exactly, at the age of 16, I mean, if you're, you're in your last years of school, I mean, if you're going to go to college, university, get a job, you tend to meet new people anyway.
Exactly.
So the chances are they could have went off their separate ways, and fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. There could have been a good chance that they might not have been friends after high school anyway.
Exactly. So I just thought that's
not good enough.
No.
Nothing would have been good enough.
No, nothing would have been good enough, but that really isn't.
That really isn't good enough. That's just
exactly.
No.
So
I thought it would have been over a boy or something, like she kissed somebody's boyfriend or something, or
just they didn't like her anymore and they didn't want to be friends with her.
Yeah,
I know.
I don't even know what to say to that.
I know. That's it. It's crazy. So after the confession, Rachel actually led investigators to Skylar's body.
I'm surprised they never found the body, because it doesn't sound like that they hit her that well.
Because it was like a shallow grave, so
I was quite surprised at that, because obviously they would be out, search parties would have been out looking for her.
They didn't think to search that far out, because obviously they travelled a bit to the... And they travelled over the state border as well, so... I don't know. I mean, I don't know why, but obviously they didn't. So she led them to where Rachel's body... Skylar led them to where...
No.
Rachel led them to where Skylar's body
get it right.
Sorry. Jesus, I'm doing you.
Excuse me?
Getting people's names wrong. So I'm not really
offended.
Sorry. Apologies. So I'm not really sure what happened over the next few weeks, as it wasn't until the 30th of March that there was a press release saying that they had found a body. So bear in mind, she'd confessed on the 3rd of January, and it wasn't until middle of March when the police actually released that they had found her body.
Wonder what took so long.
I don't know. Because then on the 16th, so 3 days later on the 16th, it was confirmed as being Skylar. And as Sheila, because obviously even though Rachel had said that Sheila had done it alongside her, obviously they hadn't done anything to Sheila, like they hadn't arrested her at this point, they hadn't investigated her, they'd obviously just, I don't know what they'd been doing in between. But, I've just lost my place. Yeah, but Sheila, she was still acting like normal. She even pretended to be devastated over the news that her friend had been found dead. So here's the tweet. She tweeted, "Rest easy, Skylar. You'll always," the always was in capitals, "you'll always be my best friend. I miss you more than you could ever know." And that there was actually like a photo montage for that. So she tweeted that.
How could you do that?
Exactly. And
knowing what you've done to her.
Mm-hmm. And then in a separate tweet, she had written the words, "Worst day of my life." But the fact that she put a photo montage and saying, "Rest easy, Skylar, you'll always," like I said, capital letters, "always be my best friend. I miss you more than you'll ever know."
I'm disgusted.
Like, how could she actually write that?
Exactly. How could she do that? I am disgusted. That's quite scary that a kid or anybody can do that. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to say to that.
She's acting totally normal, and then tweets out that like she's totally devastated. When actually, you're the reason that she's not. She's dead. You're the reason. Not you know.
That's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. That would be a scary person to be around. I wouldn't want that person in my life if she could do that.
Exactly. But there were other tweets that Sheila put out there, such as, quote, "We really did go on 3." So you know how they counted to 3?
Right, yeah, we really did go on 3.
Yeah, we really did go on 3. And she also tweeted saying, "They say you remember the past better than it really was." I'm not sure exactly what that's in reference to, but we really did go on 3 was obviously in reference to the fact that they counted to 3 and then stopped there.
Oh my god.
So even the audacity to actually just do that.
That is just pure evil.
Mm-hmm. So eventually Sheila was arrested in a restaurant car park on the 1st of May 2013, and Rachel also had turned herself in. So both teens were charged with murder, but they were both tried as adults.
Good.
Which, you know, I agree with. Sheila pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, and she was sentenced to life in prison and is eligible for parole after 15 years. Mm-hmm. Rachel pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 30 years and is eligible for parole after 10 years. I don't understand how they've ended up with different sentences and how one's pleaded to first degree and one pleaded to second degree. I mean, I would have thought it would be the same charges.
But they make deals and stuff like that,
don't
they?
I mean, maybe that's the case. But
they'll have different lawyers that'll make different deals and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I probably thought. So yeah, so they both got, you know, decent sentences, I suppose.
Yeah. Did I not read that they might be getting out soon? How long ago was that?
Well, that was in 2013, so that was 8 years ago. So actually, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I've read something about them recently.
Yeah,
it might have been somebody else.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know.
So they've been in jail for 8 years. So as I said, Rachel is eligible for parole after 10 years. So she should
2023. That's in 2 years' time.
And then Sheila's eligible after 15 years. So
all right, maybe it wasn't them I read about then.
But neither showed any remorse, and they're both currently serving their sentences in Lacken Correctional Centre.
Are they together?
In Mason County, yeah. They weren't originally. I can't remember who. So one of them had went somewhere else, but then they're both together now. But I actually saw recent mugshots of them from last year.
And they've had their hair and everything done, haven't they?
Looked so
That's
happy.
what I saw. Yeah, that's what it was. I knew I'd seen something about them.
And I was like, they just looked so smiley and happy, and I'm thinking, how fucking dare you? Like, you know, you have murdered your so-called best friend. I mean, alright, it's 8 years have passed since, but still, like, you shouldn't be happy.
No.
Like, well, you know, you've ruined a girl's life.
I just googled it. That's what was that? I saw. I knew I'd saw the pictures.
Yeah, look at them. I mean, they just look so happy in the photos, don't they?
I mean, if you look at that picture there's a picture where they've obviously both got their prison uniforms on.
Yeah.
Their hair is curled and done all nicely and everything. And
I know. And I just thought, I just want to slap your faces because that's just awful. Awful.
That's obviously what it was. I thought it was about them coming out, but that's. I knew I'd seen something about them.
Yeah, so that because they were taken last year. So
right.
That was just last year. So you know, in memory of their daughter, Dave and Mary Neese helped pass what they call Skylar's Law in West Virginia.
See, I always I like doing cases like this when you get new laws passed. And
exactly, Skylar's Law, and that it requires Amber Alerts for all missing children, not only those believed to have been kidnapped. So even if they're just missing, it's an Amber Alert.
Good.
Whether they're a runaway or whatever,
Good.
It's an Amber Alert. Because even if they did run away, they could still find themselves in trouble.
Yeah, of course. Like,
I mean, they could come across the wrong.
They could get themselves into danger. You know, somebody could pick them up.
Exactly.
You know.
So I think that is, you know, but it does say in West Virginia, so I don't know if it's solely in West Virginia or if it is everywhere. But I mean, even so, it's still something good to come out of it.
Yeah.
And Skylar's parents, they also transformed the wooded area where Skylar was found in a little memorial for her, just so that it was, you know.
That's
I know, but I just
that's an awful story. That's horrendous.
I know. I just thought, you know, how could you do that to a best friend?
But even though you're not your best friend anymore.
I know. Like, just
I've had best friends at school that went on to not be best friends with them. I didn't kill them.
People, I mean, it happens in life. Like, you do have friends, and even friends that maybe, you know, from early childhood to high school, you've been really good friends, but things change, people change, people move on, people go in different directions, and that's okay. Like,
exactly.
But and even if you fall out, you don't like, that's better than killing somebody, isn't it?
Of course.
Because I mean, 3 lives have been ruined there. Obviously, you know, like poor Skylar, of course, the most, because she's lost her life. But those girls have ruined their lives. I mean, you know, they seem quite bright, you know, girls at school and got on all right at school, and then you know they've ruined their, you know, part of their lives.
And the thing is, as well, they've been tried as adults, so I doubt very much that they'll get I can't say that word.
Yeah.
I doubt they won't get
their names changed.
Yeah. When they come out, they're just, people are going to know them, you know.
Exactly. And
that is awful. That's absolutely you know, you get some cases that are really brutal and gruesome, murders and everything, and then you get other ones that maybe the murder isn't as gruesome, but it's still just as much as a horrendous case. Like,
I know.
That's awful.
And that's why, you know, I wanted to cover it, because I couldn't believe, you know, that could happen, and I mean, obviously it has happened, and it's a shame, and I just wanted to put my version of it.
Those girls are just fucking pure evil.
Mean girls.
Yeah.
They are,
I actually don't think you should have called it mean girls. I think you should have called it pure evil bitches.
Yeah,
because that's exactly what they are.
Probably would have described it better, because to be fair, they were a bit more than just mean girls. But
I mean, I get right, when you're 16 and you're probably quite immature and all the rest of it, but like when you grow up and you've matured, and people find out that you've murdered somebody and they ask you why you murdered somebody, they are going to have to be absolutely ashamed of themselves.
because I mean,
that is the reason.
I don't think, like, I think when I was 16 now, I mean, you know, 16, I mean, there was people that I didn't like, or, you know, you maybe not, you know, you didn't like, so you didn't play with them, or you maybe made a comment about them or whatever. But I wouldn't do that now.
No,
I mean, I wouldn't act like that now, and it's just...
Well, that's because you're immature there. You're mature, you change. The way you think about things changes.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm thinking, like, that when they were 16, if they thought they obviously thought that was acceptable to kill somebody because they didn't want to be friends with them anymore. But, like, say 10 years later, not even 10 years later, but you know what I mean, like, are they going to think that's acceptable?
Oh yeah, they're going to be like...
Oh yeah, that's fine, I killed my best friend because I just didn't want to be friends with her anymore.
I know. So I mean, like, I hope that they have been able to be rehabilitated, I suppose, and you know, they can...
Yeah, but at least they're going to get out early enough to live their life.
Well...
You're talking about, like, getting out at what, maybe 26 years old?
They're late 20s.
Yeah, late 20s,
or
early 30s.
Yeah.
They've got time to... They could still go back and study more if they wanted to. They could do that in jail anyway.
Well, yeah.
But, you know, get jobs, get married, have kids.
I know.
They could do all of that.
Yeah, and Skylar, sadly, you know, and you know, I say she had ambition is to be a criminal lawyer and stuff, and you know, it's all just being taken away from her just because a couple of girls decided they didn't like her and didn't want to be friends with her anymore.
Oh, I just want to punch their lights.
So if anybody's listening, you know what? If you don't like somebody, you don't want to be friends, fine. Don't be friends with them. But for Christ's sake,
don't kill anybody.
Don't kill them, for God's sake.
I think we said that before. Don't kill people.
No, don't. There's always another way. Just walk away. Just move on with your life and.
Don't need to murder people. You don't need drama in your life. Just walk away from it all.
Exactly. So anyway, that is my Laura-sode for the day.
Thank you for that. You just put me in a depression for the rest of the day.
I'm sorry.
So thanks for listening, everybody. Yes. And if you... I forgot. I was going to explain. I was going to explain a bit about Patreon.
Yes.
Because I actually have had a couple of comments on social media saying, oh, you know, what is Patreon?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of thought, wait a minute, actually, yeah.
Not everybody knows what it is.
Everybody, I didn't know what it was until I started listening to podcasts. So, yeah, so the Patreon is basically www.patreon.com, and you can go on there and you can search, you can search for us, like,
for crime
divers. And basically what it is just a sort of community where you can support the podcast financially.
Yeah.
So we have different tiers. So there's the first tier just starts off at £1 a month, that's it. And that's you know, it's basically just to support us. If you like us, then you like listening to us, you can support us. And then there is other tiers that are like a little bit more, but on the other tiers you obviously get more for your money. You get, we do 2 bonus episodes a month. What else do we do? We've got we've got a couple of like freebies if you join up.
You get early access to our normal episodes.
Yeah. What else is there?
There's things like, you know, if I think one of the tiers is where, you know, after a couple of months you get like a free pen. And
I mean, we are kind of working on it. Whereas when we get more Patreons, and because we've only got a couple at the moment, but if we get more, then obviously we will do like giveaways, competitions, like
make it a bit more fun.
Yeah,
you know?
We would like to sort of build it up. But yeah, I mean, like basically to anybody who's wondering, for any podcast, that's basically what it is. You just, you know, you can pay a monthly fee, which isn't, you know, it's not much, and you can get all sort of different bonus stuff. But there is also other ways of financially supporting the show as well. There's www.buymeacoffee.com. So that's just basically if you don't want to have to be paying something monthly, it's just a one-off couple of quids to support the podcast. On, I think it's Good Pods, I think it is. There's a tip jar on there. You can go on and just leave. I think I'm not quite sure if you can just leave any amount on there. But there is different ways to do it, and you know the way. What it's for basically is so that your favourite podcaster can get like better equipment.
Yeah, exactly. You know, just keeps us doing what we're doing and maybe make it even better than it already is, you know. We can do more stuff, like I say, we can do competitions, we can do giveaways, we can get better equipment to make our podcast better.
Yeah.
You know, there's things like that. You know, anything, you know, we appreciate, obviously, just people's support of listening, but, you know, to help us make it a bit better and maybe more enjoyable and more fun, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you can help us out that way as well, so.
Yeah, but as I said, any support, any financial or not, any support, just listening to us, that's
exactly.
massive. It's massive. But yeah, as I said, I mean, I've had a couple of questions asking, so I just thought it would be a good idea just to say it on the pod. So
just to answer those questions.
Yeah. So we do our contact details. I will put them in the show notes.
And also, if you are enjoying listening to us and you want to carry on listening to us, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, review.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.